Hi, everybody. I wanted to hop on here really quick because I just listened to a track by Dr. Jacqueline Hobbs that is Oracle Girl. So I highly recommend you go check it out. It's her most recent one that came out today called Stand Up. And it totally made me think of a story that I think is really. So her track on Stand Up is basically about, and she gets into more detail. I think you should listen to it. If you haven't heard any of her stuff, go and check it out. But the essence of it is really being able to connect deep within that feeling when you know something feels wrong inside of you, and then being able to stay in that place of sovereignty where you actually can say no and mean it with everything that you've got inside of you. And after we watched that, it totally jarred a memory for me back over probably a decade ago that I was just sharing with my wife. And I did a course. I won't say the name of the course because we're supposed to keep that kind of secret. But the course that I did way back when was a series. It was a week-long event, and it was a series of different challenges that we had to go through. And one of the challenges was a really difficult one. And in this scenario, we were having to basically be confronted by these really sort of scary looking people. They were, these sort of gangster looking, very sort of tough, these karate kind of guys. And this whole scenario was basically to have to be in a position where you had to stand in your strength and your courage and look them in the eye until they decided that they knew that you were there and that you were grounded in that feeling, and then they would back down. And they wouldn't back down until you actually arrived at that space. And so they would be in your face. They'd be pretending to like hit you or kick you or get in your face, call you any kind of names to try and rile up some emotion in yourself, and see if you could get past that feeling of fear, past that feeling of anger, and then step into that feeling of that super powerful feeling of being grounded and just saying, no, that's enough. And one of the stories here that is so profound was there was this older lady who's a grandma. She was in her 70s, and she was at this course. And one of the biggest, scariest looking guys was right there in her face, intimidating her, trying to get her to back down. And you could see the situation evolving, and then all of a sudden, this 70-year-old woman just stared at this guy in the eyes, and she just looked at him and didn't say a word. She just looked at him and she just went. And you could see her fingers shaking, and you could see the intensity in her eyes. And the guy who was doing the challenge against her he just kind of smiled, and he just backed down. And then after he asked her, he said, what brought you to that place? He goes, because I've never seen anybody's the depth that you got to of standing in your ground. And she just said, I just pictured my grandkids behind me and you coming after them. And she said that aroused that fire inside of her, and she just said there was no way that that was going to ever happen. And that's what brought her to that feeling of just saying absolutely no. There was no qualms about it. There was no hesitation on it. There was a solidness that caused this big, muscular, scary looking guy to just step back down. And you could see where he almost even felt intimidated from it. And I feel like this is such an important thing because we all need to find that strength that 70-year-old woman found right at this point in time, when we have a duty to stand up to bullies. We have a duty to stand up to those that are trying to cause harm. It's a duty to have to step up and do the right thing. So next time that we feel that rattling that comes up inside of us, think of that 70-year-old woman and see if you can find that same degree of sovereignty and strength, because we've all got that within us. And these are pretty scary times for a lot of people right now. There's a lot of bullying happening. There's a lot of people that are getting shaken. And this is the time that we need to find that inner strength and say no with all certainty and with no exception. All right, everybody.